The long-awaited YNW Melly is on the way, and it has brought about some scary evidence that all points to the death sentence for Melly. A few weeks have passed since the beginning, and now we're seeing the bigger picture. This is no longer only about the rap game. This is now way more serious. Melly will be sentenced to death if 8 of the jurors decide that Melly did the crime and want to see him gone. Jamel Maurice Demons, born on May 1st, 1999, is this awesome rapper dude known as YNW Melly. He's all about that Gifford, Florida life, where he grew up and did his thing. But let me tell you, Melly ain't just about spitting rhymes. He's got some serious vocal skills and can write killer songs too. He's the real deal, no doubt. Melly dropped a few tracks during his career. He made hits like Murder on My Mind, Mixed Personalities, Suicidal, and 223s. The songs are straight fire, and they've definitely put him on the map. Melly knows how to bring the heat with his music. Back in 2015, when Melly was just a 16-year-old kid, he made some headlines for all the wrong reasons. He got caught up in some serious trouble, facing charges for 3 counts of aggravated assault and busting a cab near a high school in Gifford. The media had a field day with it, and definitely wasn't a good look. While he was locked up, Melly found some inspiration for his track Murder on My Mind. He turned his experience behind bars into art. Fast forward a couple years and it's Melly's 18th birthday. He took to Facebook to show his fans some love and admit that he's sorry for the things that he's done. It's like he's grown and learned from his mistakes, trying to make things right with the world. I apologize to all my fans. I'll be locked up in a level 6 program for 6 months. I was sentenced on my 18th birthday, May 1st, 2017, due to negative music. Safe to say, since then, things have never been the same. Right now, Melly is in a heavy situation because he's been accused of some serious charges. The state is accusing him of being involved in the murders of 2 guys named Anthony Williams, 21 years old, and Christopher Thomas, 19 years old. The whole thing went down in South Florida on October 26, 2018. It's a pretty intense case, and everyone's waiting to see how it plays out in court. Melly straight up denies the first-degree murder charges for taking out Thomas, who is also known as YNW Juvie, and Williams, also known as YNW Sack Chaser. These 2 cats were trying to make it big in the rap game, just like Melly. According to the cops, after Melly did his thing and took out Williams and Thomas, he tried to make it look like some drive-by action with a Jeep. They say his boy Cortland Henry, aka YNW Bortland, was in on it, helping Melly stage the whole crime scene. All 4 of them were rolling together in the whip, coming back from a recording session. At least that's what they say, according to the official sources. Prosecutors claim Melly was posted up in the back left passenger seat, with Bortland behind the wheel calling the shots. In May 2020, the judge decided to grant Bortland a bond of $180,000 and put him on house arrest. He had already spent more than a year in Broward County Jail, facing charges of premeditated murder and being an accessory after the fact. It's said that Henry drove the 2 young victims to the emergency entrance of Memorial Hospital Miramar, where they sadly passed away from their gunshot wounds. Tanya Ruse, the spokesperson for Miramar Police, confirmed that they arrived at the hospital already deceased. Melly pleaded not guilty when it came to those fatal shootings. On Twitter, he poured his heart out, paying tribute to Sack and Juvie, and expressing his anger towards the people responsible for their deaths. You can feel his frustration, his strong desire to see them get what they deserve, whether it's falling hard or winding up behind bars. In the midst of it all, Melly found himself battling another challenge. In April of 2020, he reached out to none other than Kanye West on Twitter. See, Melly had contracted COVID-19 while locked up and was desperately trying to secure his release from prison. He wanted that house arrest, but sadly, officials shut down his request. Melly's lawyer, Bradford Cohen, fought tooth and nail for his client's release, claiming that Melly's life was endangered due to inadequate health care in prison. He argued that the conditions were putting Melly's well-being at risk. But things weren't so straightforward. Families of the alleged murder victims had a different perspective. They stood against Melly's release, worried about potential threats not only to themselves but also to other witnesses involved in the case. The prosecutor came in hot with some serious accusations against Melly. They were like, "We're gonna throw the death penalty at him and also label him as a gang member." Talk about going all out. The state of Florida didn't hold back. They straight up accused this rapper of brutally murdering his own homies, claiming there was zero moral or legal justification for what went down. According to them, it was all premeditated and done with calculated precision. Prosecutors were confident they had the goods to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that these killings were straight up messed up. They all said it was cruel as hell, and their angle was all about that cold hard cash. That's the story you see when you dive into Melly's court documents. In July 2022, it seemed like Melly might just dodge the execution bullet because Judge Andrew Siegel called out the prosecutors. He claimed that Melly and his lawyers didn't have the proper heads up about the death penalty. It looked like a glimmer of hope for him. The story took a sharp turn in November of that same year. The appeals court came in and flipped the whole script. They were like, nope, Melly was informed when he got hit with those charges back in 2019. They shut down that hope real quick. If you ask the court, they claimed that notice is notice, and that's that. This is some next level intense stuff. Melly could seriously be staring at the death sentence if the verdict goes against him in his upcoming trial. It's no joke. But here's the deal, the final call rests with the Florida Supreme Court. Yeah, this case is so big it's got the attention of the highest court in the state. They hold Melly's fate in their hands. His lawyer, Philip R. Horowitz, spilled the tea and said that Melly was feeling down after the ruling. He straight up told the press that Melly was disappointed in the ruling. But don't think for a second Melly and his crew are gonna back down. They're ready to go all in and make their case in front of a court. There's been a major update in Florida law that could seriously impact Melly's destiny. When he steps foot in that courtroom for this trial, there's this new law in play that might make it way easier for the system to throw that death penalty at him if he's found guilty. Talk about high stakes. So back in April, Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor and a dude running for president as a Republican, signed this fresh law, right? And this law says the juries can recommend the death penalty with just an 8-4 vote instead of needing everyone to be on board. Now, that's the lowest requirement in the whole US, and the only other state playing by these rules is Alabama, but they need a 10-2 majority. This Broward Circuit judge named John Murphy was like, yeah, let's go with this new law for the Melly case. He gave the state prosecutors the green light. This law came because of that Nicholas Cruz dude, you know, the one who shot up that Parkland school and took out 17 people back in 2018. Well, he dodged the death penalty because the jury couldn't agree. And that sparked the inspiration for this law change in the first place. After signing that new statute, DeSantis said that the state of Florida is going to serve up some proper justice. On Melly's mom's Instagram account, we saw some hopeful and positive energy coming out. Melly's mom's still strong and still thinks that things might turn out just fine. This is the caption on her post. Melly coming home. Today I went to court expecting more delays, but we started jury selection. I can't explain how I feel. My anxiety is everywhere, but God got us. YNW B-Slime got to see his brother on his birthday, first time in 4 years. People want to know how likely it is that the new ruling is going to sway the outcome of Melly's trial. And will he actually be sentenced to death if he's found guilty? Well, just a few months ago, we saw Florida take the life of a man who was found guilty. The ninja killer, Louis Bernard Gaskin, got executed in Florida on Wednesday for murking a couple from New Jersey back in 1989. Back in 1990, the jury voted 8-4 for the death penalty, and the judge gave the green light. The guy tried to appeal, but both the state and U.S. Supreme Courts shut him down. The latest denial came just a day before the execution. If Melly gets convicted and slapped with a sentence, he could be one of the first cats to get the death penalty under this new law. Judge John Murphy gave the thumbs up to the state prosecutor's request to roll with this fresh statute. Melly's trial is well underway, and we're entering the third week of his demanding and complex process. So far, we've heard and seen a lot of things to take place in the courtroom, and it's been a heck of a back and forth between the state and Melly's defense. Let's see some of the most important evidence that the prosecutors presented so far. Believe it or not, this case has been brewing for almost 5 years now in the state of Florida. Investigators got their hands on some surveillance footage that showed both victims, Henry and Melly, and a recording studio prior to the shooting. And get this, detectives claim that blood splatter evidence and cell phone data prove that all 4 of them were together on the night of the murders. Jurors got a glimpse inside the vehicle where Sack and Juvie were supposedly shot. Puzzle pieces are all starting to come together, and it's a crucial stage in the state's case against Melly. The evidence got real specific. Jurors got a close-up look at the back seat of that ride, and the whole back seat covered in bloodstains, like all over the seats in the center console. The prosecutors showed the victim's clothes all drenched in blood and riddled with bullet holes. It was like a scene straight out of a gritty crime movie. There's also surveillance video capturing the scene in front of the hospital after the alleged drive-by took place. The video shows YNW Bortland rolling up to Memorial Hospital Miramar with YNW Juvie and Sack Chaser in his whip. But here's the messed up part. Witnesses testified that Juvie and Sackchaser were already gone. They were dead before they even made it to the hospital. It was a grim scene, and first responders treated it like a full-blown crime scene, sealing off the area and everything. They pulled out some extra surveillance footage that puts Melly right there with both victims before the shooting went down. It's like solid evidence, but that's not all. Jurors also got to hear some ballistic testimony from crime scene investigators. These experts gave a visual breakdown of how them bullets traveled inside the vehicle. They showed a whole trajectory and everything. It was like a crime scene investigation show playing out in that courtroom. Details were on point. Melly's text messages were presented in court just the other day. The text supposedly went back and forth between Melly and his own mama months before Juvie and Sackchaser got murked. In these messages, Melly straight up asked his mom to hook him up with a gun back in August of 2018, just a couple of months before the murders went down in October of 2018. He was like, "Yo, give me a Glock ASAP. Like right now, I ain't trying to mess with no illegal stuff though." According to the prosecution, Melly wanted that gun because some beef was going on between YNW Sackchaser's mom and sister. But here's the twist, we ain't sure if Melly was actually involved in the drama or if he wanted the gun to help out the people in that dispute. The defense is claiming that those texts weren't even from Melly's phone, that they're saying that the gun used in the murders wasn't even his. In those texts though, Melly ended up settling for a Glock 40 or 19. But we ain't sure if he actually got either of those guns, or if it was all just talk. So yeah, the defense might be feeling a bit down with this latest testimony, but don't count Melly out just yet. He's been scoring some victories too. Apparently, the prosecution messed up by not sharing a second forensics report, and the judge was like, nah, that info ain't gonna fly in this trial. Melly's trial is far from over, but people are showing interest in this situation and it has become more apparent on social media. Comments started popping up left and right. This is one of the most surreal cases in hip-hop history besides Boosie, Tay-K, and Big Lurch. Melly almost at his goal to make history and I believe he will achieve it. I'm rooting for him. If Melly beats this case, he will be the biggest star ever. We've spilled the beans when it comes to Melly's ongoing legal battle. This death penalty drama is turning out to be nothing short of wild and crazy. Will Melly, aka Jamel Demons, end up facing the ultimate sentence? This case has sparked a heated debate about justice, the power of law, and the role of juries in determining life or death. It's got people talking, contemplating, and questioning the system. We'll be keeping a close eye on the rest of this messed up trial because nobody knows yet what's gonna happen, not just to Melly, but to Bortland as well. Feel free to drop a comment down below and let us know how you feel about Melly and his trial. You feel like there's a chance for him to make it out alive somehow, or is his fate sealed? Until then, as always, don't forget to keep it RIZZLE.